budgeting is not a new budgeting approach. It is the basis of a variance analysis based on any budget. So, and flexible budget means that you are able to construct meaningful variances which help to manage variances and to take consequences. You have the learning objectives. So, question, what is a static budget? No. Yes, Max.
Yeah, well, as the name says, it's static. So we say Department A get 100,000 per year, and that for the next 5 years or so, or periods, whatever.
Yeah, for at least for the next period. Yeah, then it particularly means that you calculate, you compute your budget based on one output activity. So you determine, you produce and sell 100, and you compute all the respective budget based on this assumption. So output is given, and you compute all revenues and costs based on this assumption. And you do not differentiate between fixed and variable costs. You say, okay, we have total cost of X when we do this budgeting. This is a static budget. And I'll go to our example. The example will be our basis for the next, for all the flexible budgeting. It's a manufacturer of suits. The budget is 13,000 suits for a period. Could be a quarter, but say it's a year. They have a budgeted price for that, 155, not particularly expensive. And they have variable cost per unit of 115. And fixed costs are 286,000. Down below, you see the respective income statement for the static budget. Revenues, variable cost, and fixed cost, and operating profit. So far, so good. Actuals are different. Actuals, then it incurred that the output only is 10,000 suits, sales and production. And the price is a little higher, 160. Variable cost is also a little higher in actuals. And fixed costs are higher too. So the respective income statement, an actual is 1.6 million for revenue, 1.2 million for variable cost, and so on. Operating profit is 100. And the question is, it's easy to determine that there is a variance in the operating profit between actuals and static budget. They said, yeah, this is 134,000 less. What does it mean? Good or bad? You say, oh, we have less operating profit. It's bad. But do we know why?
Why it's bad or why?
Yeah, why is it? Why it's bad? Okay, if we can assume that it's good to generate profit. Let's say it this way. But the rest? Sabi?
Wir assumed one output. My output is higher than the actual output of unit?
Yeah. Okay, so what you see is our budget refers to output of 13,000 suits, while our actuals refer to only 10,000 suits. So one major cause for the difference of cost is the different output. But also other parameters changed. The price, yes, please?
Yeah, for example, price defined, it's per unit, right? Yeah. So per unit changed.
Yes.
So we have a volume change, price change, and also cost changes.
Exactly. But the total variance of 134 comprises all these effects. And this is the problem. So, now people invented flexible budget. And the idea of a flexible budget is to compute revenues and cost which should have incurred when actual output numbers incur, but based on all the budgeted parameters. So it's the input which should have incurred when the actual output, for the actual output. So you assume we have 10,000 suits. But the price is 155, variable cost per unit are 150, and of course, if you change the output, fixed costs do not change. So there is no difference in fixed costs between the static budget and the flexible budget. So based on these assumptions, now it's up to you. Go to Excel, compute the flexible budget for this example. Variance which is due to the fact that not 13,000 suits have been produced and sold, but only 10,000. So this is the volume effect. But between the static budget and the flexible budget, there is this variance of 14,000 for the of 14,000, and this variance is called flexible budget variance. So you split this static budget variance of 134 into two pieces. And one piece is sales volume variance, the other piece is flexible budget variance. And let's calculate these numbers together. It's not a problem. So say flexible budget variance is actual minus flexible budget, and the same with the other two numbers. And this is flexible budget minus static budget. Go down. And now we have a little bit of a problem. We need to identify whether variances are favorable or whether variances are unfavorable. it's a little bit of a problem with the plus and minus. So in the Anglo-Saxon literature, they have introduced just indicators for favorable and unfavorable variance. And the favorable variance is always when operating profit actuals is greater than budget. So what you see here, the flexible budget regarding revenues, the flexible budget variance is positive. So we see here regarding revenues a favorable variance. When it's unfavorable, indicated with U, operating profit of actuals is lower than the budget.